Well, the gender gap may be real when it comes to exercise, many say. It could be real in many other areas as well. Well, a new study found women get the benefits of exercise faster than men, and women receive a greater overall benefit from working out. Ooh, I like this.
I thought you would. 9 News medical expert Dr. Payal Kohli here to talk about the study. So our producers came up with a list of questions. The first one, if I read it as written, says, can you explain some of the differences, doctor, between men and women? Now, I don't think we mean in general.
Yes, the study.
We're thinking about, in terms of the study, can you explain some of the differences between men and women?
So, as a cardiologist, this was very eye-opening because I thought, everybody gets the same kind of benefit from exercise. But what the study did, it took over 400,000 people.
That's a big study.
Big study. Followed them for 20 years and asked them, okay, tell us how much you exercise. And then they counted up who died and who had, reduction in cardiovascular events. So women get a greater bang for their buck from exercise. This was a surprise. And so first, premature death. So men had a 15% lower risk of premature death with regular exercise, women 24%. Second, cardiovascular benefits, less stroke, less heart disease, less heart attacks. Men, 14% reduction, women, 35%.
Wow, not
More
even
than
close.
double. That is crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. So to us, and then they did it with less exercise. So women needed half as much exercise to get the survival benefit as compared to men. So there's something here when it comes to differences between men and women.
Why are the benefits so vastly different? Those were stark differences.
Huge differences.
Is it just because we're superior?
In many ways, yes. So let me talk about it. So first they say that women might have a higher baseline risk. So if you're higher risk, you get a higher reward, right?
Okay.
So because your risk is higher, you get a bigger payoff. Second, though, and I think there's something to this, is there's some effect of hormones like estrogen, but also even the way that our bodies are set up. So we have, for example, more capillary density. So when we exercise, our muscles actually get more blood flow than men's muscles. So is it more oxygen delivery that's making a difference? Our hearts are smaller than men's. And the way that our
I knew that was true.
even the way that our lungs work is different from men's. So that's why our small little mighty hearts, if they exercise, they actually get more bang for their buck than men's hearts. And then the way that hormones work on our blood vessels is called nitric oxide. It's a chemical that makes our blood vessels dilate. There's a huge effect of that. We know that that's at play here as well. So
I'm taking it's like I'm responsible.
I can tell. You're taking this really to heart, to your small, mighty heart.
Yep.
well, it's funny you laugh, but we had a seminar in Geneva last year that I was part of that said the superiority of the women's endothelium, our blood vessels. Because of that estrogen, there's a lot of data that our blood vessels heal faster than men's blood vessels.
Like Wolverine. Superheroes.
So, how much stock do you put into the fact that, men carry the weight of the world on our shoulders? That has something to do with it right now. That's not my next question.
He's backing that up. Folks.
My next question is actually,
Backing it up.
I know who I'm with. I know the crowd with which I hang out. Does this change your advice to women at all when it comes to exercise?
It does. And it used to be, you got to hit your 30 to 60 minutes a day. And now it's like anything is going to give you benefit. So if you're one of those sedentary women, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, get off the couch because you're likely to have a huge benefit. Now, our perfect sort of target would be, I call it the 20-10-5 rule. And so every day, if you can do 20 minutes of cardio, 10 minutes of either Pilates or weight training, twice a week. You can do weight training the rest of the days. You can do Pilates, something to build your core, and 5 minutes of yoga meditation. That's perfect.
Okay.
If you can push that to 45 minutes, you'll get even more benefit. But like I said, if you can only do 20, take 20, because that's even going to offer you a huge benefit.
And that's doable. What do you recommend when your patients come in, Dr. Kohli, depending on age? Like some of the younger women compared to women that might be going through perimenopause or menopause. Do you tell them differences in working out?
So this is very interesting, Sam. There's data that you should sync your exercise to your cycles if you're premenopausal.
Really?
Yes, because estrogen plays that role not just in the blood vessel health, but also in muscle tissue recovery. So they said really you should peak exercise during ovulation because that's when your estrogen levels are the highest. So your muscle recovery will be the highest. And then the flip side is also true. If you're a postmenopausal woman, your muscle recovery is actually slower by about 20%. So you want to be sure, and you're losing muscle tissue faster. So you want to be sure that you really try to do a little bit more resistance training, a little bit more muscle building, and you lose a lot of that anti-inflammatory effects of estrogen too. So you really want to be careful with how quickly you ramp up your exercise. So giving a tailored prescription of exercise to women is something that I've started doing with my patients.
So cool.
So you talked about some of the time frames that people should shoot for, that 20-minute minimum
Yeah.
daily.
20, 10, 5 would be perfect.
5 days a week.
But what women really need is a minimum of 140 minutes a week.
Okay.
So that's less than 30 minutes, 5 days a week,
All
right?
Okay.
So most of us can pull that off to get many of these survival benefits. Men will need about 300 minutes. So they need more exercise to get the same survival benefits. But
You want me to read the headline again? Women gaining more benefits from daily exercise.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Yep, you're
I'm proud
welcome.
of you
We'll
guys.
take the 2 points.
Dr. Kohli, always love having you on the morning show. Thanks for joining us here.